have we seen the emergence of the Delta variant of Trumpism?
The Delta variant of Trumpism. He thinks he's so clever. The Delta variant of Trumpism. In other words, from his perspective, a racist, a bigot, a divider, a loathsome human being. Is this the Delta variant? Because he ran on this issue of critical race theory. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't start this fight. The American Marxists started it. Their authors started it. Their unions, the teacher union, started it. They're pushing this Marxist critical race theory. I think we have done more to educate the American people on critical race theory than any other single platform. People have been working on it for years. Some people have talked about it or written about it. But you didn't see this issue of critical race theory being addressed day in and day out, except here on Levin TV, on my radio show, on Life, Liberty, and Levin, and of course in my book, American Marxism. 1.115 million copies sold. 1.115. That's 1,115,000 copies. Conservatives have never seen a book on fire like this, except for Liberty and Tyranny 12 years ago. And so there's a reason why the American people are familiar with critical race theory. There's a reason why it's a big issue. And millions of people on my radio show have been listening to this day in and day out for 8 months, maybe longer. And this was the issue. This was a big issue. And the wonderful parents and taxpayers who organized to fight it and organized in this election. That is a big deal. So Van Jones supports this. You see, the left, whether they're in the media, politics, academia, they're very confused about how to deal with this. On the one hand, they say it doesn't exist. On the other hand, they defend it. And if you don't embrace it, you must be a racist. So they're making two opposite arguments, but we know exactly what they are. In the first case, they're lying, and in the second case, they're reprobates. All right, let's hear more of what Van Jones has to say. Go ahead.
Variant of Trumpism. In other words, Youngkin, same disease, but spreads a lot faster and can get a lot more places. The suburbs, if they fall to him,
that's implying that that Youngkin is more dangerous than the president, former president.
No, more easy to spread.
Okay,
because more easy to spread. Because if you look at what he's doing, he is playing footsie with the worst of Trumpism. He's putting himself forward as a champion of parents. This is a referendum on parents' rights, but he's not talking about. But he's using all the critical race theory head fakes and head nods, which is a softer version of a very virulent kind of anti-black posture.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. And you look at Youngkin, you heard him. That guy doesn't have a racist bone in his body. I can't say the same for him, Van Jones. But critical race theory is a racist ideology that was developed by a Marxist law professor, among others, and has been pushed by them to take down this country. That's why Black Lives Matter, the founders, they don't make any bones about it, that they are doctrinaire Marxists. And critical race theory is that. I don't know why it's so complicated. The people who developed it said they were Marxists. The people who developed it in the 1970s, that's who they were. That's exactly who they were. And so now if you oppose critical race theory, you see, you're part of this Trump white supremacy, racism, and so forth. This is why CNN and platforms like this are so dangerous and undermine this nation. It's just shocking. You have Anderson Cooper sitting there, and he supports all this crap. And so, of course, he won't fight it. And how many times have I sat here in Levin TV and I said there's not a dime's worth of difference between the media and these American Marxist movements? Because they support them. And so they support critical race theory. They support the climate change, degrowth, anti-capitalism movement. They support the transgender movement as a movement. I'm not talking about individuals doing what they do. I'm talking about as a movement. And I can go down the list. They support Bernie Sanders in this redistribution of wealth, massive taxation. They support open borders and illegal immigration into the country. That's who they are. Go ahead.
I think this is a very big deal because if this is a pathway, if you can flirt with Trumpism, If you can flirt with Trump and still win in the suburbs, that's a new development for us.
Flirt with Trumpism. Now, you know what's interesting to me? Oddly enough, he's hit this the wrong way, but in the end, McAuliffe was running against Donald Trump as much as he was running against Youngkin, wasn't he? Over and over and over again. Well, Donald Trump won. I mean, Youngkin won and Donald Trump won. I don't hear any of the analysts saying that. They're saying Youngkin has shown the way forward. That is, get the Trump supporters without outwardly supporting Trump, and then you can pull in the suburbs and so forth and so on. That may all be true. That may all be true, but there was no secret, because McAuliffe didn't make it a secret, that the spirit of Donald Trump hangs over so many of these elections. And so, while I think Youngkin handled it very, very brilliantly in terms of how he did his campaign, the fact of the matter is that because McAuliffe tried to make this a campaign against Trump and he lost, Trump won.
I think that the Democrats are coming across in ways that we don't recognize, that are annoying and offensive and seem out of touch in ways that I don't think show up in our feeds when we're looking at our kind of echo chamber. And I think that this is a message here.
You know, the Democratic Party, what you've seen is it's become a more college-educated urban party in coalition with minority voters, and the messages tend to be moralizing. It's like we are going to tell you, we will tell you what is right. And no connection to people who work with their hands, people who work with their backs, rural voters.
I said this last week on the radio, that basically the Democrat Party has become a party of effete elitist snobs, mostly college-educated, professors and so forth, the white left, and the inner-city minorities. Pretty much that's what it's become. The inner-city minorities and the white left-wing, gentrified parts of the cities, colleges and universities and so forth. And the people who get dirt under their fingernails, which, by the way, includes blacks too, I'm just saying, the people who get dirt under their fingernails and work hard and don't live in the cities and don't even live on the coasts, who produce everything we use and everything we eat and everything we wear and so forth, they try to impose their will on those people. They try to impose their will on those people. Why do you think, as I said, the speaker's from San Francisco, the Democrat leader in the Senate is from New York City? When you look at their committees, same thing. Very few rural areas or even suburban areas are represented. AOC, New York City, Bush, St. Louis, Presley, Boston. That's all well and good, but that's not the whole country. So the cities and the college campuses are in charge today of Washington, D.C. And the other parts of the country are resisting now, are pushing back. That's how I see it. So that's how they're out of touch. Go ahead.
There is no such thing anymore as a low turnout election. You have that much pent-up desire for civic participation that an off year, it's not an off year, it's an off year election. Right. You have record turnout. So that means that the audience is paying attention. That's a good thing. I'm waiting to hear now about voter fraud. I'm waiting to hear about it because it was all, voter fraud, you can't trust the elections. When Republicans win, suddenly everything's fixed.
No. Because the truth is, with some exceptions, the Republicans don't have a pattern of stealing elections. Republicans don't have a pattern of voter fraud. Democrats do.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.